from ZSH Plays, welcome to San Bernardino Zoo, episode 75. This zoo has come a long way since we built that little flamingo habitat down there. Thank you so much for watching. Today we're going to be adding your most requested animal into the frozen north, the wolf. We'll be adding it to the hill above the town here. Let's go. Today's build is going to be one of the most classic zoo builds, the wolf wood. I've seen these all over the world, and we're going to build it up on top of this ridge here. So the first thing that we need to do is make this ridge start to look good. So at the moment it's just raw terrain, and what we're going to do is make an arrangement of various different types of rocks that are just poking out of the ground. And once we've got a nice little arrangement of that, we can start placing this all over that ridge at various different angles, so that we get the whole thing to look like a natural rock wall, rather than the sort of smooth looking terrain that we've got there at the moment. We'll make something look a lot more realistic. This habitat is inspired by wolf woods that I've seen at Tiergarten Schönbrunn in Austria, and some of the landscaping I saw at Prague Zoo. There's a lot of amazing natural rock work there, not just the normal sort of fake rock work that you see in zoos. We're going to get a lot of that done today, and we're going to end up with a wolf habitat that is on top of the hill here, so there's an amazing view for the guests and the wolves, looking down over the town and the rest of the frozen north. I'm happy with the first arrangement of rocks that we've got here, some pretty big impressive ones, so we're going to drop these in all over this cliff here and start rotating them so they all look different, and we'll get some of these in as the larger rocks all the way down to here as well. And then what we're going to do is create a second set of rocks, just slightly different and a little smaller, and we're going to use a lot more of these to cover up the rest of it. This is where the habitat itself is going to end, this set of rocks here, and then we'll have the rock wall going down towards the town. So we're just going to keep placing these rocks along here till we've got something that looks really good. This is starting to come together already, and we want this entire cliff face to be covered with them so we get a really natural look. This is going to be visible when you're in the little town area as well. Let's take a look at it from the drone cam. It's already starting to look good. Let's leave that for now and move on to building the fences for the habitat. So we're going to build complete custom fences for this habitat. I want them really simple. I just don't want to use the default barriers. So we're going to use some mesh and wood to make the kind of barriers that you often see for wolf woods like this. So a pretty tall fence, an anti-climb barrier at the top, and then some wooden poles as well. I'm not sure wolves are great at climbing, but they can certainly jump pretty high, and with their claws as well, they can definitely jump to the top of this fence and then climb over, so we need an anti-climb barrier as well. So we'll get that in here, and then we'll get some wooden posts in. I'm really enjoying the East Asian wood set at the moment from the base game. I think I've been sleeping on that for quite some time. It's got some really nice wood pieces in there. They're all sort of slightly imperfect, and there's all sorts of different colours going on where the wood's aged. It's a great set, so we're going to use that for these. We'll get one of them in here, and then we'll spin it around so it's not exactly the same, and get it down the other end as well. And then we'll get one of the shorter pieces and use that for the sides of the anti-climb barrier. And while we work on the fence, let's talk about what animal we're going to have in here. So for Planet Zoo purposes, we're going to have a timber wolf in here, but the signage will not say timber wolf. It's going to say northwestern wolf, because scientifically there is no such thing as a timber wolf. It's a, I think it's a subspecies name from like a century ago, which scientists haven't used for a very long time. It used to refer to a large number of the wolves across the whole of North America and Canada, but it's no longer recognized. I think there's something like 30 or even 40 species of wolf on the planet. By wolf, I mean the grey wolf, rather than, you know, maned wolves or other loosely related animals like that. Apparently the closest to the timber wolf is the northwestern wolf, which lives around Canada and does make it up into the Arctic. We're not going to use the actual Arctic wolves. They're white, they are used to very, very cold environments, and I can't imagine they'd be particularly happy in Southern California. So we'll be using the northwestern wolf, which has a much more diverse range. I think they'll be much better able to cope with the heat of Southern California than Arctic wolves will be. I spent about 15,000 conservation credits on the two wolves that we're starting this habitat with. I'm very happy I did, because the male wolf is pretty spectacular. We will see him at the end of the episode, of course. Most of the habitats in the frozen north are going to be outside. I did a lot of research on that before making that decision, and a lot of it is informed by San Diego Zoo's Northern Frontier area, which has all sorts of polar bear, caribou, etc., and they're all pretty much in outdoor habitats. A lot of the animals will adapt to the kind of temperatures you get in Southern California. The polar bears that they have there, much shorter fur than the polar bears that you would see in the Arctic. because of course most of these animals, they do experience summer heat for a couple of months a year, and they all have the adaptations to that. Their fur gets shorter, they use water to cool down and things like that. So we're going to be able to have a lot of outdoor habitats here, and I think the wolves are going to be perfectly happy in this habitat. There we go, that's the fences done. You can see how nice the view is going to be. Let's move on and create a viewing area. So the way I want the viewing to work in this habitat is mainly via use of what is effectively a hide, really, although there's a lot of glass in it, so the wolves will definitely know there's people in there. But it's one viewing area that I've taken pretty much directly from Tiergarten Schönbrunn, and it's really cool. It's on 2 levels. We can have some stairs in here, and it's a great place for the guests to be able to see the wolves. They'll be viewing all along the fences, but I'm going to do a lot of planting along there, so it's more sort of glimpses of wolves that you get. I think they do better in a more private kind of habitat, despite their fearsome reputation, so we will certainly give them a lot of privacy, and then most of the viewing will be from here. So we're going to put a little path in there, and then build the hide over it. This is a really cool kind of ramshackle hut. It will fit really nicely with the more American frontier style that we're going for in this area, although obviously it's Austrian originally. And we're going to use loads of different pieces of wood to make this, including some more of the Asia set that I was talking about, and then loads from the Twilight pack, which is probably my favourite wood set. So many different sizes in that pack, makes it really easy to build with. There's going to be a little door here where our little angry vendor is standing at the moment, and then the stairs come off the side of the building like this. Now we're not going to make these actually usable by the guests, because then we're going to have to put Planet Zoo paths in here. Nobody wants that. Certainly not the stairs either. It's going to ruin the look of it, because it's a really cool, almost like a treehouse kind of set of steps here, and I don't want to ruin that by putting the Planet Zoo steps in. Plus it means we can have them be just over 1 meter wide, which is how wide they are in real life. I know you can do the 1 meter path trick if you want thinner paths in Planet Zoo, but if you want stairs like this, you're still going to have to use the Planet Zoo stairs in there, and that's going to ruin the look of it. So this staircase will be accessible to me when I walk around the zoo, and to you guys when I put it up on the workshop, but it won't be accessible to the guests. But they will be able to go into the ground floor and view the wolves through there, and then we'll be able to go up to the top floor as well. There we go, that's the steps in. We'll put some supports in to turn it into a proper staircase, and then we'll move on to the rest of the building. It's a pretty sizable habitat here. I wanted to have enough room to have a proper wolf pack. The way I want to do it is to sort of replicate how wolves live in real life, really. So wolf packs in the wild generally consist of an alpha male and female, and then 2 generations of their offspring. So depending on how good a year they've had, they tend to have between 2 and 5 pups, and then depending on how good the year goes, depends on how many of those pups survive. Hopefully not an issue they'll have in San Bernardino Zoo, but for that reason, typically the wolf pack will consist of between about 6 and anywhere up to 20 wolves. So we're just going to start with 2, and we're going to breed them, and we will keep the babies, and we will build up our own little wolf pack here, and I'll keep you updated with how that is going as the series progresses. Alright, we've got the second level of the building in now, and we're going to use some different planks on this top level to give it a different look to the bottom level to make it look more interesting, and then we're going to take it to the next level with an extra piece of detailing in a Franchise Masters. If you want to make wood paneling even more realistic, what you do is you randomly select a few of the planks and move them forward a tiny bit, and then you randomly select a few other planks and move them backwards a tiny bit, and do that all the way across the build, and it makes it more three-dimensional and simulates the sort of more random positions that wood planks are in more rustic buildings like this. Gets you a really nice effect, only takes a few seconds, and it's well worth the effort. I even put a little grunge decal on this one just to tie the bits of wood together, and there you go. Let's finish this building off now. We'll put some more detailing into the roof, got some more planks here just to make that nice and solid. You can see we've got a little doorway for the guests to get through, but we've got my favourite part of the build to do now, the really ramshackle kind of bits of wood that hang down on this balcony here. We're actually using the bamboo pieces from, I think these are from the Tropical pack. Really good for this kind of thing. It looks a lot like the building that I saw at Tiergarten Schönbrunn. So we're going to put these all the way around, and they form a kind of border around the top floor. They essentially serve no purpose at this end because there's no floor here for people to stand on, so it's not like they can look through here, but it just looks really cool. And at the other side at the top of the stairs, the guests can actually stand there and look out over the wolves, as well as going into the building itself. We'll put a big log along here as well, just to tie the 2 parts of the building together, and then a few last pieces of Twilight wood to finish it off. Then we're going to add in a couple of windows. These windows are absolutely tiny. This is what it looks like IRL. Don't know why they've got such tiny windows, but they look really cool, and we've got exactly the right piece to do that with the little stained glass bits from the Twilight pack. If you recolor the stained glass, you can make it just look like normal glass with the lead kind of lining between the bits of glass. So this looks really nice once we get it into the right place. And then we're going to have another one of these down the other end. Just need to move the planks so they line up exactly with it. And then we can start getting the glass in. So we're going to get some glass panes and put these in across both the viewing windows on the ground and top floors. I was trying to use a barrier for this, but because of that path I put in, it's just way too close. There's no way to get a barrier in, so we're just going to use the normal glass pieces. Barriers have slightly better visibility when you look through them, I find, so I try to use those when I can, but we're going to use the glass panes for this. We'll take a little walk up the stairs. You can see they work nicely when we're in explore mode, and then we'll just do a little bit of planting next to it so we can see how it's going to look. We're going to drop a bin right next to the door here to stop the guests from walking through the wall because the path is wider than the doorway, and then we're going to drop a vista point in hidden in this support pillar here, so that the guest will come in here to view the wolves rather than just standing along the fence. And that's the viewing gallery done. Before we move on, we have a new arrival at the Frozen North, and I wanted to show it to you. We have a baby caribou. He's absolutely gorgeous. I've named him Rudi because, hey, he's a reindeer, and possibly not a coincidence, Rudi Rennkamel's just sent me his latest zoo for me to tour, so we'll be taking a look at his Zoo Sicily in a video very soon. Let's get on to building the inside of the habitat and getting this finished. We'll start the inside with some holding pens. If I remember the care manual correctly, you need one 19-meter square holding pen per pair of wolves. I think that's correct. This is roughly that size. I think it's more like 16 meters, but that'll do. And we'll have 3 of these for hopefully our eventual wolf pack that we're going to have here. We'll just make this dead simply using a variation of the fence. Obviously, it's not going to be this tall, and we'll have these down one end of the habitat, like almost like kennels for the wolves. You can see the rocks that we put in right at the start of the video, and then we've got some trees that I've added in as well. Once we've finished the holding pens, we'll start planting up the whole habitat, adding in water feature, and just making it look generally beautiful. It's not going to have as many trees in it as the name would suggest due to their traversable area. Need to minimize those, but we'll get in as many as we can and just make it look really lush and attractive. We've got these down to the right height now, so we'll copy 3 of them down here to accommodate our new wolf family. Once we're happy with that, we'll move on and get all the planting done. Rocks are plants, right? One and the same. What we're going to do is build a little sort of shelter for them. This is going to be very similar to what we built for the lions, but this time I want to make sure the wolves can actually use it, because the lions couldn't get into theirs other than the cubs. So this time we're going to dig it down a bit more and make sure the wolves can actually use this as shelter. So we'll put some rocks down here, we'll dig out the terrain, put some stuff for them to sleep on in there, and just get a little dell that they can go down into to escape the heat of the sun, or just when they fancy a little sleep. And we're going to dig out another little area down the other end of the habitat where we have just a little arrangement of rocks and dirt where it looks like they've dug out a little bit of the terrain. That's something I saw in, it might have been Schönbrunn, it might have been somewhere else, I can't remember now. It was just a nice little touch. And then we're going to start filling the habitat in with grass, just using the buffalo grass as normal, and we'll also use it to put some trails in where the wolves walk around. I saw a lot of this in my research. It seemed to be very similar to cats in that they like to have certain places that they will walk, and they will always use the same little route, so the grass ends up getting worn down where they've been. So you can see just adds a nice little layer to the habitat of the dirt where the grass isn't, where the wolves have been. The last thing we're going to do is take that rock pile we built right at the start of the episode and use that to line the guest path. We want to keep the guests away from the fence, don't want anyone getting their fingers nipped off, and we've got a little secondary fence in there as well that we've used a few times in this area just to tie everything together. And that's the build done. Let's check it out. Here's the wolf house, as I've decided to call it. Really happy with how this one looks. I'm so glad I didn't put a path in up to the second level. Those stairs look so much better like that. And here is our first wolf. I spent 10,000 conservation credits on a black wolf because, wow, they just look so cool. I think he's 100% size as well. Just looks absolutely majestic on top of his rock. I've got him a mate as well. Here he is looking out over the area. You can see all the way across the frozen north from here. Down the other end of the habitat, we've got another one of the hanging feeders like we had for the cougar. I just love the animations when the animals use this. It looks really cool. And here's the whole habitat from the air. Got loads of clutter and rocks and dead branches and things like that in here. And the pool. and then it all leads up to this viewing area for the guests. There's another shelter for them as well. And as planned, they can actually use these ones and get in here at the end of the day when they want to go to sleep. Hopefully soon we will have some little pups sleeping in here as well. All in all, I am very happy with our little Wolfwood. Let's see where we started today. And this is where we are now. Quite a big change. It's a fairly big habitat, but with all the rocks in front of it and the new path that's been put in, it adds a whole lot more to this area. Next week, we're going to be leaving the frozen north to do a build I've been waiting to do since the start of this zoo. I'm very excited for it. I'm not going to tell you what animal it is, but let's just say it is an extremely popular one. Here's the members monolith. Thank you so much to all of you who've joined. Thank you for watching for this past 75 episodes, and I'll see you next week for some more Planet Zoo.